Hello, I'm Matt Broughton for Game On, and today I'm talking to Michael Pedersen, the CCO at Livespins. Michael, thanks very much for your time today.
Hey Matt, thanks for having me. Super excited.
Well, perhaps you can tell me a bit more about this relatively new social live vertical that's being championed by yourselves and a few others in the industry. What's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely. In general, we think that there is a completely new vertical sort of being carved out in the industry, and it's somewhere in the middle of slots, but which are played in isolation, and live dealer or live casino, which is typically associated with table games. So somewhere in the middle, there is a sort of a new vertical sort of springing out, and that's where Livespins is sitting. So taking the slots product, but making it a lot more live, if you will, and social.
And can you explain a bit more about what the mechanics of that mean to like a player?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically what Livespins solves and what this sort of vertical, is all about is, up until today, casino streaming and watching streamers on Twitch or the likes have been a very sort of passive activity. It's something you do, and then you have your, on your mobile phone, you have your online casino open, but those two experiences are separate typically. And what we're doing now is effectively joining the streamer up with the player, and a lot of other players as well. So you can bet behind the streamer, you can participate in the fun and the excitement that the streamer is going through. You and the streamer, but also together with a lot of other players, all happening on the same spin, basically.
And what are the tech challenges that presents? Having people betting on something that's streaming and latency and, kind of keeping everything as regulated as controlled as possible.
Yeah, it's quite a hard problem to solve technically, because we're working on a sort of a spin by spin level. So we have invested heavily into our own sort of proprietary streaming platform. And that allows us to be sub-second latency, meaning that the feeling for the player is absolutely real time, both in terms of when they're seeing the outcome of the game that the streamer has, that obviously has to match exactly the bet behind engine as well. So it's absolutely seamless, and the same goes for the chat functionality. So it has a very sort of natural, sort of snappy flow to it.
I was going to ask how important it is to stay tuned to the customer trends, but I guess that's kind of obvious. So maybe the better question is how difficult is it to stay tuned into what the players really seem to want out there?
Yeah, I mean, what Livespins is all about really is what we have seen happening outside of iGaming, right? So if you take the good old, sort of PC gaming or console, gaming computer games effectively, it's exactly the same thing that happened, right? I mean, if you go back, whatever, 10, 15 years in time, computer gaming was done in isolation. You would sit at home, on your PC, or maybe even in the good old Amiga or Commodore 64 days, and play the game, but you would be playing on your own against the computer. Whereas nowadays, I don't know the exact stats, but I would say it's probably 80% plus is happening in sort of a connected world, where you're playing, CS or Dota, or whatever you're playing. You're either playing with your friends, and it's sort of a pre-arranged session, or there is the whole sort of discovery side as well, where you team up with people that you don't know, but you get to know them through the gaming activity. So I think that journey that computer gaming has been on over the past decade, I think we will start seeing the same trends happening in iGaming. It will become a more sort of social, a more connected, a more sort of together kind of experience. Sorry, I lost my AirPod there.
That's all right. I'll seamlessly edit that out. No one will ever know.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we will see the same thing, the same journey as computer gaming has been on. We're also seeing the other tech giants pushing in the same direction. Apple, for example, launching Share Play, where you open up FaceTime on both you and your friend's phone or device, and then you can stream a movie together or listen to music together. Disney Plus doing the same thing. They call it Group Watch, but it's effectively the same thing. You can consume a digital streamed movie together, send reactions or comment on a movie as you watch it, although you're all sitting in your own living rooms or offices while enjoying that entertainment effectively. So again, we feel that there's very much this sort of vacuum inside iGaming that we're not really keeping up with the trends that are happening outside us, and we seriously think that there is a risk of iGaming sort of over time becoming irrelevant if we don't sort of start catering to those kind of entertainment experiences.
I mean, do you think the days of the solo gamer are over? What about the people that don't want the door open all the time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those days are not over, right? But I think, and there will always be a segment of players that just wants to be left alone and play on their own. But I think, what Livespins is offering, and thankfully many others are joining this vertical as well. Used to be brushed off as something for the 18-year-olds. And typically for both operators and providers, that was a very small value segment. But now that segment has grown up, right? And is now sort of, millennials are 35, 37 years of age. Gen Z is 25. And it's now starting to hit, sort of critical mass segments on both providers and operator side. And it just can't be ignored anymore. And so I think those segments will eventually start leaving iGaming to a larger extent. If we don't manage to cater for them and something that appeals to what they have grown up with. I think they call it was it Entain, I think, published something around, they call it digital dads. That's, sort of that they have grown up with that sort of computer gaming connected experience, and they're now sort of starting to expect that more and more whenever they consume entertainment. So we're strong believers in this, and we think we need to adapt as an industry. There will always be a market for the solo sessions, for sure, no doubt. But that piece of the pie is becoming smaller and smaller for every month that passes.
And what do you kind of expect future iterations of Livespins will be? You talk about staying on top of the trends. What do you think is next? Once everyone can play socially and everyone has the products they want, where do you go from there?
Yeah, I mean, look, we have probably more ideas than we have resources and time available. So our innovation roadmap is super exciting. We think this is definitely not a one-trick pony. There's so much more you could do. You could apply effectively through Livespins. We're kind of putting a TV station on the operator's lobby, right? And we could easily see the same technology used for other verticals. You could imagine the same thing being done for sports betting. You can bet behind a very knowledgeable sports person. It could be maybe financial trading. Imagine you have a really cool day trader or someone who knows the stock markets in and out, and you can give players an opportunity to bet behind. Esports, the same. I mean, the list goes on, right? In general, there's sort of like a line that the higher up you get on the skill ladder, the more value an expert that you can bet behind has for you. So yeah, these are some of the thoughts that we have, but also within the casino world itself. We're doing bet behind now, but there are many other formats that you could do within that. And Matt, I think that the last thing I wanted to add is one thing that we think is super interesting is that Livespins sort of enables operators to leverage their brand ambassadors to a much greater extent. So imagine, again, instead of I don't know. Let's take an example. BetMGM has Jamie Foxx as brand ambassador. Imagine you could do a bet behind Jamie Foxx session, and you could offer that for your players. In the future, live spins could be the ones, doing network promotions where we bring in, whatever Snoop Dogg or Logan Paul or whoever the influencer or celebrity is. And we could offer that to operators, that they could put that on their CRM calendars and offer that to the players. So anyway, I don't want to ramble on, but I guess my main point, Matt, is that this is the starting point. But honestly, there is so much potential, and it all sits inside this new definition of live entertainment, which Livespins really want to lead. We're super excited.
No, it's a fascinating vertical. It'd be really interesting to see how things develop over the next year or so. But for now, thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks for your time, Matt. It was a pleasure.
I'm Matt Broughton for Game On.